And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head to death. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me a boom.
He is Jalen Rose.
What up, now?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in, center stage on the mic.
And we putting it on wax. It's the new style.
We're Jalen and Jacoby. What do we do?
Get the people what they want.
Happy Halloween to everybody. If you're listening to this at night, shout out to you. When you're done with the candy, just turn off all the lights. Everybody knows that trick. If you're listening to this tomorrow morning, I know you got a lot of candy in the house. Just stay away from it. You know, TB12 movement is not about candy. You know, you can't just have candy on candy on candy for the next 7 days, okay? Have a salad. Figure that out. Jalen, how did you enjoy your Halloween?
Didn't do too much. Lay low. Got a lot of work done. Watched some NBA basketball. Watched the World Series.
Good.
Passed out some candy to the toddlers. Here's the thing.
What's the thing?
Don't come knocking on my door trying to get candy if you're over 15.
Like, if you wear boxer shorts, if you've got hair in your armpits, like, if you've learned how to drive, even if you ever even thought about getting behind a wheel, don't come to my house looking for free candy.
But here's where it gets tricky. Because you have those that Halloween is meant for, the youth, the toddler, the kids, up to 15, where they should celebrate it, dress whatever costume and garb they like, get all of the candy, trick or treat, go to all of the parties. I want to talk to this middle age of individuals.
Okay, the tweens?
Yeah, the tweeners, like 16 to 21.
Oh no, I'm talking about like even 14, even 13. If your voice changed, don't ask for candy in my house. Can't be like trick or treat.
But what I'm saying is, there's still these tweeners though that aren't asking for candy because they're a little too old. They're not really going out because they ain't old enough to really get it in yet. So you kind of just at a middle ground where you just dressed up with nowhere to go.
Oh, no, you're dressed up with a bunch of eggs, throwing eggs at cars and people. That's what you do on Halloween, right?
Correct.
I'll never
that's
forget.
All bad.
I was walking through Tompkins Square Park. I got hit with an egg right in the side, like right in the ribs. And then the kids ran away. And I remember thinking to myself, it's come full circle.
And I have to say this. Halloween does expose two things. I have to put this on wax because I've been saying it off wax.
Oh, no. Don't get fired.
It allows men to look like fools, and some women, man, I tell you, it's their chance to be half naked. It's their chance.
It is. It is.
I've been waiting all year to put on this Catwoman suit. I've been waiting.
Well, I look forward to you putting on that Catwoman suit next year.
And Kim Kardashian, never try to dress up like Aaliyah. We don't believe you. You need more people.
No, Aaliyah should be off limits. Aaliyah should be off limits. If the people wanted a long feature about the TB12 movement, that's exactly what the people got from ESPN the magazine. Long feature about Tom Brady and his movement and his methods and his diets and his rehabilitation. He offered a lot of really good sound, health, and nutrition advice, but at times, he sounded a little crazy as well. Here's what he had to say about how he avoids injury on the football field. Quote, "The moment another player's helmet makes contact with my body, my muscles are pliable enough to absorb what's happening instantly. My brain is thinking only lengthen and soften and disperse before my body absorbs and disperses the impact evenly as I hit the ground." He goes on to say, "I know my focus on pliability has helped me avoid so many injuries and bounce back so quickly from the hits." Jalen Rose, is Tom Brady trying to tell us that when he gets hit by a professional football player, he uses his mind to disperse the energy through his body, and his muscles are so pliable, and that is why he doesn't get injured?
So I always talk about athletes today train. When I played and before, athletes worked out. It's 365, 24/7, no days off, especially the elite. And if you want to compete against them, that has to be your approach. Early days of the NBA, those players weren't making this level of coin. They had second jobs. So I want to tell you, there is something to what he's saying.
Okay.
It's not the sole reason why he's been able to stay virtually injury-free for most of his career. We know about the horrific knee injury that he once suffered, walked off on his own 2 feet, and didn't come back that year. But for the most part, relatively healthy in his future Hall of Fame 5-championship career.
I agree. I think nutrition helps. I think working out helps. I think all of that stuff helps. But when he gets to the part where he says he gets hit by a player's helmet and then focuses on the softness of his muscles, that's where he loses me. Are you going with him there?
I'm going with him there.
Oh, no.
It happens not necessarily in sports that aren't as physical or don't contain as much contact, say basketball, but in sports like football and MMA, that in theory is something that allows you to absorb a lot of the pain that you're going to endure. And how your muscle is trained and how your mind digests that information allows you, it's almost like an inhale, exhale. It's almost like resistance training. It does exist, and I understand where he's coming from.
I do not understand where he's coming from, but perhaps it's because I've never inhaled. They also say that he says that athletes should not blame the sport or the age when they get injured, but their own habits. Like, doesn't this, is you still with him on this, that you shouldn't blame age when you get injured, like it's not even a factor?
I'm not rolling, because if you look at what happened to Gordon Hayward in basketball, something he couldn't control. How about Zach Miller in football? His horrific leg injury, they're not talking about whether he could play football again. They're worried about saving his leg. So you see situations that are going to take place in sports that you just can't avoid. So I'm not rolling with him on that, but there is something to be said, and it's a life trait too. It's not just about sports. Usually successful people, beyond luck and the abilities they were given to them and the work ethic they may have, there is something to be said for your sacrifice, your discipline, your focus, how much you put into your craft. And for those, there isn't an accident that they become all-time greats in his case, but in life beyond sports, successful in your own right.
I would say that you were very successful as a professional basketball player. You're an all-time great off the court and in the rest of your life. So I want to ask you this question. Tom Brady says he goes to sleep every night at 9 p.m. in a room that is uncontaminated by technology and pet dander, and that he sleeps in biometric recovery wear. Jalen Rose, how would your life and career be different if you went to sleep during your professional career every night at 9 p.m.?
I know, man, I tell you. Them Louis XIII bottles, and Cristal, and adult beverages.
You put a lot of that money back in the economy. I feel like the GDP of the country would have dipped for like 5 years if you went to sleep every night at 9 p.m.
But again, I definitely appreciate him sharing this information. And for those that want to be successful, there's a level of sacrifice that you have to endure. He's basically saying, while other guys are out kicking it, posting on IG and or checking their Twitter mentions all night, I'm actually in bed getting rest. Yep. There is something to how much your brain could absorb. Think about your mind as a computer. Think about it as a telephone. There's only so much you can consume, so much noise, that ultimately it affects your performance in whatever you do.
Don't you feel like part of this is just kind of like he's trying to keep up this image and he doesn't really live this clean lifestyle that he's always talking about and selling to people? Is there a part of you that believes that some of this is kind of a sham to make money?
It's not an image. Like when people like Tom Brady and Jay-Z, who are married to Giselle and Beyonce, but still have the level of discipline to still go out and be all-time greats at what they do, it shows you how not being content about your surroundings, but still have a thirst for excellence is something that can be unmatched in most people. Those are two really good examples.
Well, it certainly sounds like the Patriots have bought into the TB12 movement, because not only did they trade Jacoby Brissett earlier in the season, future face of the league, they've also traded Jimmy Garoppolo to the 49ers for a second round pick. Do you think the Patriots are so convinced that Tom Brady can play until he's 43, 44, 45 that they do not need these backup quarterbacks that look like they were in succession to one day be the starter in New England?
The one thing that people can't overlook, and Bill Belichick is literally going to be in a conversation of all-time great football minds. When you go into a previous season and you have 3 quarterbacks, the second and the third string in Garoppolo and Brissett have relative success when they play. And on this date, neither one of those guys are on the roster. You know what that really tells me? That Bill Belichick doesn't think they're as good as we do.
Ooh, interesting.
And also, it tells me that I like Jimmy Garoppolo, but man, there's going to be a diamond in the rough that I could grab in this year's draft in the second round that I'm going to pay on a rookie scale initially that I feel is going to be just as good, probably more mobile. Look at where the game is going. Quarterbacks that are young like Carson Wentz, Cam Newton,
Watson,
Russell Westbrook,
Deshaun
Russell
Watson.
Wilson is still fairly young. These guys have big arms in the pocket, but man, they're really mobile. And Garoppolo isn't that level of player. I hope that he has a great opportunity to start and prove that he deserves this opportunity, but he also got injured early in his career. So can he stay healthy? Can he be productive in San Francisco? It remains to be seen.
Jay Ajayi has been traded to the team in the NFL with the best record, the Philadelphia Eagles. They added Ajayi. They just gave away a 4th-round pick. Do you think this makes them NFC Championship level team?
Seattle's going for it, too, adding Brown on the offensive line, who basically Houston traded him because of his stance away from football. I've talked about Philly on this program being what I saw, along with KC, the most complete teams in the league. What I mean is Carson Wentz is just an actual football player that plays quarterback. You got 2 backs back there, LeGarrette Blount, short yardage that can bust one long. Now you have Jay Ajayi, who had 3 200-yard rushing games just last year. I don't know what Miami Dolphins are doing. Maybe they're hanging out with the coach that they fired. They got tall receivers that can also go deep. They got the tight end, Zach Ertz, that can get up the field and make plays. And they got a ferocious defense that covers, that rushes the quarterback, this physical play side to side. I like what Philly is doing, but I also like the addition of Seattle. Their Legion lost a little boom against Deshaun Watson and a couple of teams early in the year. Let's see if they can get that back. But you can't be mad at what Philly's doing.
Happy Halloween to all of you and to you, my brother, Mr. Rose.
Happy Halloween, my brother.
Jadeveon Clowney dressed up on Halloween. No, he wasn't a clown. He dressed up as an inmate. Now, Houston Texans PR department very quickly got out in front of this one and said this was not supposed to be a reference to what owner Bob McNair said about the team at the October 18th meeting. He just happened to be dressed up as an inmate after the owner of the team had referred to NFL players as inmates potentially running the prison. Jalen, do you believe the Houston Texans PR department?
No.
No, me neither.
How about this? That's why it's important in a country where we have the liberties of speech and freedom that people that are conscious and have a level of power exercise it in situations like this. You saw what happened to Mr. Brown. He held out for a few weeks. He always had issues with the way their owner conducted himself, whether it's talking about Obama being elected, how certain people were unhappy about it, the protest and how he approached it, and you mentioned how he handled his comments at the owners' meeting. So it's one thing for a guy on the practice squad to decide he doesn't want to practice, but guess what they're going to do with him? They'll just cut him. But you're not going to do that to DeAndre Hopkins.
Nope.
It's another thing for the third string pass rusher to do this. You can just cut him. But see, you can't do that to Jadeveon Clowney. So I appreciate how he handled it and forced now the team to make a statement about it.
And if you're the team PR department, let me just give you a little advice. Just don't lie. You know what I mean? Just say we weren't aware of his motivation or whatever, but you don't have to tell us it has nothing to do with the fact that the owner called NFL players inmates running a prison. But let's move on, Jalen. Let's celebrate Halloween. Let's enjoy this. There have been some excellent costumes so far that we've seen from the world of sports, and we're going to pit some of those up against each other as we celebrate this Halloween evening. First up, we have horror movie costumes. We have Steph Curry, who rolled up on a bike with the Jigsaw theme playing from a speaker, dressed up as Jigsaw. Excellent horror movie costume. And then, not to be outdone by the Warriors yet again, LeBron James had this very, very, very high production value Pennywise getup going. The best thing about his Pennywise costume, of course, was that he did not have to change his hairline to put the wig on. Sorry, LeBron, I had to. Who do you got, Steph or LeBron, in the face-off of the horror movies?
I really like both of them. And
Okay.
also for LeBron, don't sleep on, he just talked about being cheap recently, so I think it's a playoff for that also. I like Steph's because I was scared.
I like Steph's too because one thing about Halloween costumes I've learned over the years, it's all about the accessories. And he had a bike. It's always nice to have, a mode of transportation brought into it. The hair looked great. And the fact that he went out of his way to have the Saw theme on repeat playing from a speaker that brought not just the visual, it brought the audio element to the whole thing. Production value, multi-sensory. I'm giving this to Steph as well. Let's move on. This is the couple's costume. Always a good idea to have a couple's costume. Did you guys dress up as Power this year? No? Maybe next year?
We didn't dress up at all.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Well, here we have a couple that did dress up as Milli Vanilli, my favorite Power couple. Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade, they had a choreographed dance. They had the outfits. They had the Grammys. They had the braids. They had everything going. And we also have this little getup of Russell Westbrook and Nick Collison dressing up as the famed duo from White Men Can't Jump. Who do you have in the face-off of the couple's costumes?
You have to go with the actual couple because Russell Westbrook and his teammates aren't that. They're teammates.
Tandem costumes. Sorry, Mr. Rose.
So based on that semantic, I was going to make it a push, but I found my way out of here like Family Feud, where's Jacoby to save me? But I did love the White Man Can't Jump reference. It's so classic. But you can't go against Milli Vanilli. Come a chameleon.
Jalen.
Oh, that's not Milli Vanilli.
Jalen.
That's Boy George. I got so many songs in my head.
Jalen. The great work of, don't disrespect the great musical talent of Milli and Vanilli.
Blazing
There you
on
are.
the rain.
Perfect. All right, now we're going to get sued. Finally, last one. Which rapper costume do you like more? First, we have this. Isaiah Thomas dressed up as Eazy-E with accurate height and all. And we have Jay-Z dressed up as the great, late Notorious B.I.G.
You left out the most important thing that allowed me to pick the winner.
What's that?
Beyonce. I'm going with Jay.
Okay. See, here's the
No
thing
doubt about it.
Jay's.
Little Kim and Big.
There's a little part of Jay's costume that it might have been one of those costumes where you throw stuff around that you have in the closet and throw it together at the last minute. There's a little bit of that might not be premeditated. So I'm going to give it to Isaiah Thomas dressed up as Eazy-E.
You can't go against Eazy-E or Big, the late greats. But how about this? What do you think Faith think about that?
Jalen Rose, if you want to talk about it, you say hit the brakes. And if you don't, me and you and Method Man just keep it moving. Vanity Fair did a profile on Supreme Power couple J-Lo and A-Rod and revealed something interesting about their first date. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
While on their first date, Alex Rodriguez was explaining that he wasn't sure if it was a date or not. I believe they were at a baseball game. Around the third or fourth inning, she revealed that she was single. He then went to the bathroom and texted her from the bathroom about how sexy she looked. What? Do you support this method of, what am I going to call this, of flirting?
I support whatever he did because the last time I checked, they're holding hands when they're together. So it worked.
Early on in a date, I think it's a little early to go with like the flirting over text. I think maybe you should look your cohort in the eyes and tell them that you think that they're sexy before you look at your phone and text them. I think it's kind of a soft move personally, but at the end of the day, he's A-Rod, she's J-Lo.
I mean, it's hard for me to keep up. Selena back with Justin, Gigi Hadid with Drake. What's going on with the weekend?
I'm sure the weekend will have a great weekend. Kristaps Porzingis did something absolutely bonkers in his latest game. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
He shot it from deep, scored 30 and 5 out of the first 6. Keep it moving. I like what I'm seeing from the Knicks.
You'll never believe this, but there's a poll that shows that people don't trust the NCAA when it comes to sports.
Hit the brakes.
NCAA President Mark Emmert shared the following poll results that reveal that 79% of people say big schools put money ahead of student athletes, 69% said those big universities are more of a problem than a solution, and 51% said the NCAA is part of the problem. Does any of this surprise you whatsoever?
I've been talking about this for 25 years, and I've seen the tone of media members change as well as fans. At first, it was shut up and be happy that you're getting the scholarship. I have college loans to pay. Then they started to realize, like, wait a minute, you can't go straight to the league right after high school? You can't have a job while you're in college? Your coach makes money from the school, the shoe company, television, radio, all of these revenue streams, and you don't get paid anything for your labor? Now that tide has turned, and I'm happy about it.
Next, Lonzo Ball performed his song, at a birthday party at Dave & Buster's. Do you want to see this? Keep moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
Video of Lonzo Ball and some friends of his at Dave & Buster's celebrating his birthday, doing some dancing, wearing some very tight pantsing, and I just want to remind our audience that this is the image of a man who said Nas was irrelevant. Jalen, are you going to stand for Nas slander on this program?
Not at all. Not in any way, shape, or form. I'll tell you what. After you watch that video, I want you to Google a song. It's called Live at the Barbecue. Main source.
Moving on a little bit to the Trailblazers. The Portland Trailblazers had a 6-point quarter in the NBA. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
On Monday night, the Blazers missed 20 shots in a row at home against the Raptors and got 6 points in the quarter. Jalen, can you remember any stretch like that during your time in the NBA?
I remember being a member of the Pacers when we played against Portland, and I want to say at the time it was their largest deficit in franchise history. I think we beat them by 55 points. Dubious things happen like that in the NBA game.
Finally, strawberry pizza is a thing. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Well, you're the pizza expert, but keep it moving.
We be moving, you know, we keep it moving.
It is Tuesday, which means tomorrow is Wednesday, which means tomorrow we will be celebrating Woman Crush Wednesday. Ladies, make sure that you call up 985-80-JALEN and leave us voicemails. We will play them on the show and respond to them just like this.
What up, Jalen and Jacoby? It's Wendell in Chattanooga by way of Los Angeles. I just got a quick question. Jalen, is the head nod cultural? You know, when you walk by another person that looks like you and you give them the head nod, is that just cultural? Is that something that does everyone do that? I don't know. And the follow-up question with that, I know you don't like follow-up questions because I have to do some research, but when you do the head nod, is there like a time when you stop nodding down and nodding up? When I was a young cat, I used to nod up, like, what up? But when now I'm older and I see older gentlemen, it's always a nod down. It's almost like a sort of respect thing. I'm not sure. Hit me up. Let me know. Shout out. Reg, come on, man. Keep it going. Get me on this voicemail. Peace.
Shout out to Wendell. He just brought something to my attention that I didn't even know that I changed about my life. I nod down now, like more of like a tip of the cap acknowledgement as a gentlemanly recognition of my counterpart. When before it was like a yo, what up? Kind of a chin up, like declaration. And now I feel it's more respectful to nod down.
Head nod isn't cultural.
No.
And you touched on something that is actually done on purpose. I'm surprised you didn't realize that you've done this as your life transpired. Here's what it means. So, like, when you know how Jeezy says he went from old school Chevys to drop top Porsches?
Mm-hmm.
Says that in the record. Both of them are fly vehicles, but they represent different phases.
Oh.
And that's what this means. When you're nodding down, that's more of a what up, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what up? You know, like, I'm cool. I'm just giving you a shout, and I'm going to keep it moving. I don't really know you like that.
Okay.
I got my own problems. I'm trying to take care of my BI and keep on moving.
Okay.
When you nod up, it's almost like a military salute. It's like, all right, you a grown man, you're an adult woman, all of the bills in your name. You know it's hard out here in these streets. And by the way, you're an adult and you know that we just don't head nod at anybody that we don't like or want to show love to, because we will keep it moving. How many times have you walked through the streets even today and you didn't head nod anybody?
I don't head nod people.
Okay.
Much. I don't acknowledge strangers.
That's why
part
I
of a New
wanted
York
to
City
point
trade.
that out to you.
So there's one thing I want to bring up, because I had a friend, shout to Shaka, and at one point Shaka drew dreadlocks. He grew dreadlocks. And while we were walking through the streets of New York City, every time we passed another dreadlock, they would give a dread to dread nod. And I was like, what is going on? Do you know these people? He was like, no, there is a dread to dread club nod that we all do to each other to recognize each other. So I would say that while it's not truly cultural in the sense that it's broken down across racial lines, there are groups that will recognize the head nod to each other in ways that other people won't. The minivan mafia, for example. If I see someone else in the minivan, and one thing I'll look for, there's two types of minivan drivers. I like the space because I go to Costco a lot, and I'm a carpenter, and I need to keep wood in the back and the seats down. That's not my type of minivan driver. I look for car seats. I listen for screaming kids. And when I know that you're pushing around 4 souls in that vehicle, I'll give you a little head nod if I see you in an intersection. Minivan driver to minivan driver.
No question. And it's almost like the head nod comes from a different place as well that I must acknowledge. It's somebody that you've probably seen before, and you're seeing them again, and or somebody you don't know their name at all, and you're seeing them for the first time. And you don't want to stop and give dap. You want to just keep it moving.
One thing that I always give a head nod for is, it's funny, if you see someone at the gym, right, and you always see them at the gym, you will not say hi to them. You will not recognize them. If you see somebody at work, you always see them at work, you will just keep it moving. However, when you see someone out of the context in which you normally see them, you will act like that is your best friend from growing up. Like, if I see a gym person at the bar, I freak out. Like, what are you doing here? What's your name? Where are you from? Blah, blah, blah. Just because I saw them in a new environment. And if I see a bar person at the gym, it's the same way. It's like, if I see you where I'm normally see you, I don't care. But if I see you outside of the normal context, all of a sudden we need to talk about it.
Absolutely. And let me graduate that mission you just said. When you normally see that person, you probably give them a head nod and or say what up.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the first time you see somebody. But the second time you see them, y'all give dap and a pound and a hug.
Mm-hmm.
How about this? It's the same thing with women. When a dude meet a lady for the first time, what does he do? He shakes her hand.
Yeah.
The second time he see her, oh man, he going in for the hug and kiss on the cheek.
I've really dialed back my hugging and kissing habits. I've really dialed them back. There's just, professionally, there's a lot of reasons to dial them back. And even personally, you're going to get yourself in a lot less trouble if you dial back your hug and kiss habits. That's all I have to say.
But women and or men get used to it because I dial mine back too. And you can still sense the body language of somebody that they expecting you to hug them and or vice versa. And you like, oh, the handshake like LeBron gave Bill when we were on set with Magic and Wilbon.
But I got to call you out for something on wax. You will have a lot of people in common, right? Inside and outside of work. You will give a big hug sometimes, and I'll be second in line to say hello, and you've already upped the ante that we're like, that now I have to hug. But you know what I do? I stick to my original guns. I don't alter my course based on what my brother in front of me did. You know what? You and Jalen can hug. You know what? You're going to get a firm handshake and a smile from David Jacoby.
Because you're a leader. And that's a little cultural.
A little bit. Yep. And you're also extremely famous and like a lot nicer and funner to be around than I am. You know, there's that too. Let's be honest, there's that too. Like, you're just a better person to be around. You smile more and you're happier and you're just like a great person to be around. People look at me, they're like, oh no, what does he want? We have a couple of questions from Twitter and our Reddit page. The first question that we have is from James. It is Halloween. This is a good question. Soft move or boss move, leaving an empty candy container in front of your house to make it seem like someone else stole the whole jar of candy. First of all, that is innovative. That shows foresight. You do not have to do any preparation. You just grab a bowl, put it down outside your house, and the people that will come trick-or-treating there assumed that you put in the effort, but really you didn't even put a single candy bar in there. If you want to take this over the top, I would make a little sign that says, please take one, and leave it there. To make it seem like this is actually legitimate, not just an old salad bowl that I put outside my house.
I'm not advocating violence in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, no. Where are you going with this?
Or vandalism. I'm not proud to be from a city that was the only one that I realized that before Halloween, October 30th was something that in Detroit was celebrated as Devil's Night.
Yep.
And the things that happen, whether it's burning up items in a garbage can or doing vicious things that I don't want to give anybody an idea. Now, what I will say, see, you be that guy doing this soft move, oh man, you might get the brick through the living room window playing like that.
I wouldn't do this myself, but if I lived by myself and I didn't want to deal with it, I just wanted to watch the World Series, I might just close the curtains and leave an empty bowl outside.
What? All you got to do is just turn off the light. Why do you have to tease me?
You know what? When you're a kid, you don't really understand the turning off the light thing. You still go up and knock anyway. You know, it's like there's an international symbol for don't just leave me alone.
That's just mean. A lady was mean to me today. For no reason.
Uh-oh. Sounds like we have a story time with Jalen Rose. What happened, Mr. Rose?
It wasn't even a big deal. I was making a right turn from the right lane. She was making a left turn on the light for the left lane. I clearly had the right of way. She was mad that I took the liberty to go in front of her. And then I didn't realize a person could throw up so many fingers at the same time.
So did she you both had a green light?
I had the light. It was green.
She had a green light too. She was just making a left turn, so you had the right of way.
Correct.
Okay, I thought maybe she had a green arrow there.
No. Now, if it was yellow and you was trying to get yours off real quick, I'll let you go because I know I can still do my right turn when it turned red. You know, I'm courteous. I'm a great driver.
Something tells me that you were making a right on a red light and she had a green arrow. I'm just throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there as a possible scenario in which happened. That might have been the case, Jalen. It might have been the case.
And the thing is, I was actually in a rush to get somewhere, and I got a little spiteful for a minute, tried to drive 5 miles an hour for like a half mile. I got somewhere to go.
Don't do that. Don't do that. There's no room in my life for car beef. You know what I mean? Like, if I cut you off and you're mad at me, like, it's not escalating. You can do whatever you want. You can throw water at my car. You can honk your horn. You can do whatever. This is not going anywhere.
Why do people get so violent and so angry when they're behind a wheel of a 2-ton vehicle?
I don't understand why people get so aggro behind vehicles. I also don't understand why people they treat golf courses like it's the Warriors. Like you're in a gang and all the other foursomes are gangs. You're all against each other. It's a beautiful day out. I'm playing golf. Like, what do I got to get mad at? Oh, they hit into us. What are those guys doing up there? So, guys, this is a low-stress situation.
Hurry up. They're slowing down the course.
Let's not add tension and animosity into this beautiful environment that I'm enjoying. We have another voicemail.
I'm still mad at golf. They took too long to allow us to play. I'm going to wait another 10 years before I decide to join the club.
I try to get you to golf, Jalen. I try to get you every week.
I'm trying to get payback for what they did to Cold Crush.
I hope you get payback. If you call 98580 Jalen, you can leave us voicemails. Ladies, don't forget, tomorrow is Woman Crush Wednesday. We need your female voicemails. Coming up next, we're going to play a voicemail from our voicemail box.
Okay, so this is my third time calling. My girlfriend said I didn't do it right because I didn't shout out Reg and the rest of the crew. So first and foremost, shout out Reg. Shout out the rest of the crew that makes everything happen, that makes the pod dope every single day. I have a gripe with Jalen Rose. Jalen went on this rant about if you are a fan of the Steelers, Packers, or the Patriots, and you aren't from the respective states, then you are a bandwagon fan. And I have been a Patriots fan ever since I was a little kid. I'm not from the New England area, but when they versed the Rams in the Super Bowl, my older cousin was a diehard Rams fan. And me being the little kid I was, little kids love to just disagree with you on anything. I told him that his team was going to lose the Super Bowl. And lo and behold, the Patriots won the Super Bowl, and ever since then, I have been a diehard New England Patriots fan. If I'm a bandwagon fan, I'm not about to be, spending hundreds of dollars on a team's merchandise when bandwagon fans, they could have a whole different team by next year. So that's just not going to be able to do it. Anyways, I'm a diehard Patriots fan. I don't care what you say, Jalen Rose. Again, Reg, you better put this on the show, man. I shouted y'all out. Keep getting them checks. Peace.
Thank you for the call. Appreciate the love. Hit the brakes. Did he just expose something that you and I didn't realize was happening?
Oh, there's a lot going on here because there's a lot of levels to this, Jalen.
First of all, where I'm going.
No, I
so
don't know where you're going.
Let me get this right.
I don't know where you're going. But you picked up the Patriots when they were where? In the Super Bowl. That's when you picked up the team. When they were at the apex of success in the National Football League. When they were the very best you could be. When they won a championship, you just so happened to pick them up as a team, yet you're not a bandwagon fan? Huh.
And also, too, there's clearly an undercurrent that, first and foremost, I'm glad that we've legislated into this program as the people to get a chance to speak into microphones or put our faces on television, that we give the most love to the best crew in the industry, and that's why we name them by name, even though Barron doesn't want us to say his name. But, in other words, do we have people that are calling sometimes that since they don't shout out the crew, they don't get on the program?
Oh, no, so not only that, is yesterday we accused Reginald Hooks of being a bandwagon fan because he loves the Yankees, one of the teams that you mentioned, and he's from Los Angeles, right? So then he says to me in my ear, let me tell you something. I don't even know if you got this in your ear. In my ear, he was like, we got one more voicemail. It's real good. We got to get to it. And you know what that voicemail is? Someone defending Reggie Hooks' stance. So not only do you have to give him a shout out, now you have to defend him, and then you get him in my ear like, we got to get to this next voicemail. We do not need to get this next voicemail. We do not need to get to that next voicemail.
Don't take any of our crap for none of our crew. That's what make our show great. But I want to unpack two more things from our caller. We appreciate the love. Thank you for the support. You never said where you was from, sir. No. Let me repeat this. You never said where you were from.
His cousin likes the Rams, so I'm going to guess it's St. Louis or Los Angeles.
You never said where you were from. No. And by the way, as a die-hard football fan, remember Steve Grogan and Lippett and Tippett and the Patriots' old logo that was actually dope when the team was terrible. You can't become a fan when they're in the Super Bowl. That's exactly what I mean.
That is a bandwagon fan. So Reggie's in my ear talking about, we got some more bandwagon. We really touched a nerve. We got some more voicemails. If this voicemail starts with a Reggie shout-out, I'm quitting the show.
Jalen and Jacoby.
Oh, you better start packing.
Yo, man, I gotta call you out on something real quick. Time out. Woke up this morning, put on the podcast like I do every morning when I wake up because y'all put it out. Around the time I go to sleep, gotta work, you know how it is. But I'm over here listening, and a dude asks if it's a soft move or a boss move if you cheer for teams that are not in your representative city that you were, a.k.a. born in. and you list off my squad, the Packers, and say anybody that's a Packers fan, but you're not from Wisconsin, is a bandwagon fan. But have you taken into account that even if it's your parents that are the fans of then all you are exposed to is the fandom of said team? My dad is from Wisconsin. How does that not apply to me being a Packer fan? My mother is from Indiana. How does that not apply to me liking the Pacers? These are things of that nature. If that is all you're exposed to, if that's all you're around, you know you're going to become a fan of that team. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. You're kind of setting yourself up for failure if you like any Phoenix team. I am a Diamondbacks fan, but not saying much. So I'm over here because you said we can call y'all out, and I'm going to call y'all out on that one. Because that's a boss move just by being a fan of sports. But it's also a boss move for me to like said squad, even if it was influenced by my parents or a friend or whoever. It's better than being a fair weather fan, Jacoby. That's all I got to say. Keep giving the people what they want, though, but keep getting them checks. Later.
Thank you for the call. We appreciate the love. I want to make this quick because I'm pretty sure we got a few more calls like this, and I would love to unpack a couple of more calls, and I would like my brother Jacoby to chime in. I actually did something I haven't done for the last hour.
Work
on these calls.
What?
I'm actually taking notes.
Listen? You listen to him this time?
I'm listening. First and foremost, again, we appreciate the love.
Shout out.
Please continue to listen every day at home or at work.
Yep.
You didn't say your name.
No.
You said a dude asked. That was David Jacoby.
Yep.
I understand that you represent the Wisconsin because that's where your dad's from.
Yep.
I understand you represent Indiana because that's your mom's from. But isn't it a coincidence that you represent the Diamondbacks and they've recently won the World Series?
It could be.
He said you're setting yourself up for failure if you root for one of their teams. This guy has a legitimate reason to root for those teams. I am not mad at him.
Wait. We're saying if your parents are from a location that's a legitimate reason to root for that team, I disagree. Wholeheartedly. Because
until I say
this.
My mom worked at Chrysler. And guess what I didn't want to do growing up? Work at Chrysler.
Nope.
I wanted to work in the NBA.
Yep.
So just because your parents rooted for a team, don't fall in line like that. Please continue, my brother.
And it goes to show that tomorrow, probably Thursday's show, we're going to make sure that we task someone else with filtering out the voicemail messages, because it just so happens that all of these people have exactly Reggie's exact points that they're backing up. Reggie's family is from New York. That's why he wears the Yankee cap more than the Yankee does. Makes the Yankee hat more famous than the Yankee can. That's why. So now these people call in, you not only give him a shout out, but then basically back up his argument, and those are the calls that make the show. I'm sure there were some intelligent, thoughtful questions that could have led to some really good discussion that would have given the people what they want.
Feel about this,
but we don't get those calls. We only get the calls that support Reggie's arguments and that give him a shout out. I see what's happening here. The inmates are running the prison.
Shout out to Carlos and John Lawrence.
That was really funny. You weren't even listening.
I heard that the inmates running the prison. That was dope.
That's going to be it for us today. As we are recording this, the World Series Game 6 has not finished. Halloween night is still rolling. I want to remind everybody to be safe. We'll be back tomorrow to give the people what they want. Don't forget, ladies, Woman Crush Wednesday is tomorrow. Call 985-80-JALEN and leave us voicemails about anything in the world. And don't forget to also subscribe to another podcast I am on called The Nickel Package. It is a football podcast with a different pod, duo, or host every single day of the week. It is the best NFL podcast on the market. Make sure you subscribe to that as well. And I know you're subscribed to Jalen and Jacoby because you're listening to my voice right now. Tell your friends. Go on to iTunes, rate us, review us, get your friends involved.